even the early part of the business, there are points where people tend to tell me, Daddy, get an office. And I'll tell you, no, if the office cannot pay its bill, I can't get an office.
Mm, mm.
Patience to when the office can pay, the business can pay for the office. And the day we saw our present office there, my agent just called me, Daddy, I saw a building. I think it will fit in for your business. We went there. I went there, saw the place. Immediately, we just paid
Wow.
because at that point, it fits into our business structure.
Rutherfohrd. Welcome to another episode on Chat with Rutherfohrd. My name is Rutherfohrd. Yeah. My name is Ruth Idwobe, aka Rutherfohrd. And today's episode is quite interesting, very, very interesting and very powerful because we'll be talking about the power of consistency. So this is more like for business owners and yeah. I think consistency basically works in every area of our life. Whatever it is we are doing, we have to stay consistent. We have to stay focused and push ahead. So it's not just about talking entrepreneurship here. It's also talking about belief, running with it, that passion as well, then staying consistent. My guest, I know him very well, how the journey starting and seeing him big now. It's best he comes in here to share, the journey, the high and lows, and how he stayed consistent to build that great empire that he has now in Proc City, Kaduna. Yes. So, without wasting much of our time, let's meet my guest. Hello.
Hello.
so, so nice having you here on Chat with Rutherford.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me over. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, all right. So, I know you, but the audience they don't know you. So please
Okay.
let's get to meet you.
Okay, my name is Dari Elisha. I'm the founder and team leader of Made in Croc City, a media and event company based in Kaduna State, Nigeria. Yeah, I'm a husband, husband, and I'm a friend to everyone. I'm just a team lead, just a young man trying to push there.
We have to go back to how the whole journey started and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, before let me give you your flowers. So this is my yeah. It was my boss when I was in there. And yes, yes. And I still need to brag. I was like the first, like, because definitely is into like media as well, right? So I was
Yeah,
like the first female that came in, like female presenter, right? So I still
yeah, true.
brag. So yeah, once again, thank you for that experience. My Croc City and my NYC story cannot be complete without you. So thank you so much for
You're
that.
welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
So let's start from the very beginning. When did
Yeah.
you decide that okay, this is what I want to do? I want to build something for myself. And then how was that beginning, the early days? Definitely, because definitely it's always tough. It's a different thing when the idea comes in, the plan comes in, then to run with it. Sometimes you can get discouraged and also can you take us back to how it's all started?
Okay. I think it all started like a puzzle. At
Mm,
first you don't really know what you're trying to do. You just want to keep yourself busy because everything started while we're on ASU strike. On ASU now,
yeah, I
Nigerian
get.
University strike. We had a 6 month strike then, and we've just been home, no schooling, nothing apart from the side also 1 or 2 gigs, and I've just been this self-driven person. I've always wanted to work on my own. I don't want
Mm,
to be boxed in the 9 to 5 thing. I just want to do things on my own. I like controlling my time, not having
mm,
other people to control my time. So I just started out. It just started like a child's play. Then I used to be I used to be a musical artist. Then I used to also sing. Yeah, as part of the things we do back then when we were growing up. And I
mm,
had friends who also sing. We organize events and all that stuff. So along the line, the whole Crocs thing started like a movement. A couple of friends coming together to start something, and for us was just to see how we can push those music we're doing. How do we push it online? Because that was the new wave then. You're doing something. How would the outside audience hear you? So I stumbled up someone that know how to use blogger on Google. How you can host song. That's how it all started from music blogging, entertainment, just blogging in Kaduna, and I've always had this thing for media. I love media. I like being the behind the scene person. Just do the
mm,
things behind the scene for people out there to enjoy the finished
mm.
product like that.
Awesome.
That's how it has been. Starting up has not been easy, scarce resources, you work with what you have. And I
Mm-hmm.
started blogging for like 2, 3 years without my own personal laptop. Then you
Oh,
just you just go to the cyber cafe, buy time, do your thing, log out, go. then anywhere you have opportunity to have access to someone's laptop, you just
Yeah.
on your watch from your phone, connect, do your thing, log out, and push like that. That's how I started pushing. Worked with a couple of friends. It was really nice. We did our first ever event. I think it was like I think it was more of like the launching of the Made in Croc City.
Okay.
It was big, it was loud. As at then, it was like one of the best around. I think I still had some few pictures from then. Seeing how we started out, it's just like how you're trying to pick A, B, C together to just form one thing. That's how
Yeah.
we did, it. And it was nice and it was cool. And funny enough, I still give glory to God because like looking back 13 years ago
Hmm.
and saying it now, like I still have the person that's like the second in command now was part of the first beginning of everything we did together.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Yeah. So it gives me that joy that I still have one of the people we started together. Aside from
Yeah.
maybe Piston that left Nigeria, there's in Cameroon now, which I know if
Mhm.
Piston was still there, we'll still be doing this together. Even though we still all keep in touch, but the beginning phase was just out from the blog spot along the line. We started saying that this blogging thing is not really the thing for you. I think let's go into the events proper. That's how we switch from the blog to events and media fully.
Thank you very much for that backstory, the intro. So, definitely, every journey there will be tough seasons. Just like I said earlier on, there are times it will be very tiring. You want to give up and all. So, what were the things that you did that kept you consistent? Because I I know you also know some people that maybe started one thing and they were not able to push through, stay consistent. You get because I worked with you at least for like a year, right? And I saw that drive that and it's been how many years now and like see a whole lot of big things, and definitely, events of life, the January 1st show, very big and everything. So what kept you consistent? What kept you going? Because at the same time, right, we want to encourage people and let them know that this is possible.
Okay, I think for me, my drive is anything I like doing, anything I put my mind to do. I like putting all my attention and being consistent on it. And for one thing for me is that I've studied people over the years. Like I've seen people around me that has been consistent in the field where I am. Because
Mm,
me, one thing I learned early was act of service. How you also serve other people, and
mm,
I did my best to serve people that are into the same industry that I am into events. There are event companies then that when you started newly, you see them doing in big ways. Like you're seeing them doing like imagining yourself a few years from now that this is the kind of league you want to be playing in. So
yeah.
I find my way to penetrate them. Then I started serving them to also learn. It's just like
Mm.
the how do I put it? The Owa boy thing that Igbo people do. You understand? I
Yeah,
was working with them, yeah, I was serving them, trying to understand the industry, and at the same time trying to build relationship. Because it's an industry where if you have good relationship with people, it will make things easy for you. You'll be able to get resources, you'll be able to get connect. Some names tend to open doors for you.
mm,
Because
mm,
I practically serve someone. I practically serve someone. It's practically my boss. I call him my boss, Mr. Shegun of Dogza Digital. That's like one of the foremost event company in northern Nigeria.
mm.
Understand? I serve them anytime they come to Kaduna to work. They call me Dari, we're in town. I move like I practically carry myself to go and work for them and learn under them. And I was learning. I didn't know I was creating the path for myself. Me, I was just there doing my thing because event is something I love to do. I think we started organizing events way back at secondary school.
Wow.
Like we did an event in our secondary school on a Christmas day. Imagine when the school is off, like the school is locked with key. But our director gave us access to do an event on Christmas Day in our school, if you know it is in Nigeria. You get
Yeah.
so the event has always been my thing. I learned, I started working with people that are bigger than me. There are some persons safe that time that I was looking at like in the next couple of years, I want to be working with this same person. There's one person I was looking forward to because I had a friend that was a photographer.
Okay.
It was already in the big league, like the big industry, working with these people. And he was the one like taking their picture. And I was looking up to him like this guy is like he's a close friend. But I was seeing him as a mentor.
Yeah.
I was seeing him as a mentor, and I was just like, this person is working with. I want to work with this person a few years from now. The person that paid me the highest money. I earned that. Yeah. So when I was going through my details and I saw it, I was like, wow. So this thing is real. I now understood the power of consistency truly. But I along the way, I read a couple of books, especially 48 Laws of Power. And one of the first laws that 48 Laws of Power tells you never outshine the master. If someone is
Mm,
a master, always just remain loyal to your master. Even though I understand that overtaking is allowed, but
sure.
still never outshine your master. Still being there. If my boss calls me now, they are like The highest thing I will do is just to text him and tell him I'm on a virtual call. I'll call you back. But I don't miss calls like that. These are
Mm.
people that I learned the act of not just consistency. If I want to work with you, there's a way I will penetrate you that anything you want to do, you look for me. There's some things you want to do, you feel like, oh no, this thing has to be Dari. Let's call Dari. Dari will
Mm.
handle this one perfectly. And one thing I know I make sure I groom myself is type of perfection. I go all out, make calls, make things happen, and just being consistent and making sure this thing Dari is the go-to guy for it.
So at some point, the shift happens from hustle to structure. So when your business started expanding, the staff, getting more staff, the bigger equipment and all that, what mindset or strategy comes to mind? You understand that made you realize that okay, I don't want to just remain on this small, I now want to be big, like
Yeah.
expanding. Because that's also another thing. Sometimes it can be fear. Some people don't know when they should now like make it much bigger. For instance, now I can just decide that let me just remain on this level and be doing it this way. But there are other ways I can turn this because what we are doing now, what we are saying now, is informative, right? It's something people also can pay money you understand, to listen to and all that. So when did you decide that okay, I want it to become much bigger now? And how did you take that move and that step? Yep.
Okay, the thing is that as I was learning and as I was serving, I was also observing other people's mistake. Because
Mm.
one thing I've always promised myself that I think I don't want to learn from my own mistake. I want to learn from other people's mistake. And I
Okay.
was learning, I was serving, I was seeing errors that I feel like when it gets to my own turn, I want to be able to correct these errors. Equipment, okay, we were working, we were growing, you are buying equipment. How do you manage this equipment that in the long run, after like 2 3 years, your equipment will just die and there's nothing to replace them, or you buy an equipment, you won't even do like 6 or 7 jobs and your equipment has burned down. And you see other because is that our industry is a very very um high investment industry because these
Yeah.
lights are not cheap. These items, these gadgets are not cheap.
Sure.
Cameras are not cheap and the rest. But you know that as you are buying them, you need to start looking at how other people. There are some people that did mismanagement. There
Mm.
are other people in this industry a couple of years ago that you are looking like you want to be like them. But along the line, they lose focus, they shift track, they shift from their track. Because at some point, you're making this money. How do you do this money? Do you reinvest this money or you want to party like every other person? At some
Mm.
point,
Mm.
I know back then I used to be the social guy, go to the club, also the nightlife thing. But at some point, I now saw some people that made mistake, that they pay them for a job. The next thing they are thinking of is to party. They're not looking at investing because you are just relying on what you already have.
Yeah.
And the more you're using those things you already have, the more they tend to die. How do you replace them back?
Mm.
I cut away from the party life and I now moved to the investment life.
Mm.
There, I had years in my life where the only thing you see me wear is a plain black t-shirt. I had more than 10 to 15 plain black t-shirts. I don't
Wow.
buy designers. I don't buy anything. I only buy a plain black t-shirt. That's the only thing I wear. At some point, people felt like maybe they feel like you're only putting on just one shirt, but I was disciplining
Yeah.
myself. I was disciplining myself, saving money, buying equipment. If I get a job, I don't even touch the money for that job till I'm done doing that job. Because
Wow.
sometimes, what if you need to refund? Some client, what if something happens, you need to refund? So
Mm.
I saw people mistake, people that were partying, people that were not saving, people that were not investing, and sitting down looking at some years to go, or some years ago, where we felt like let's go into events full time, let's start investing in events, and looking at 3 4 years ago that we started pouring everything we had into events, and looking at what we have now. If I just look back and I'll be like, wow, Barry, how did you do it? How did you do it? We sit down and we count the number of lights we have, and I'll be like, wow. Sometimes we manage 3 events at a go. And you'll be like, how are you able to build this capacity? How are you able to build these structures? And by the time you start having this equipment with a particular number, you need to start thinking. It's not something you can manage alone. Okay,
Yeah.
you bring it. So that's for on the job. Like my manager now presently in my company, we worked on some people's events previously. Then one day he just DM'd me on Instagram, like, boss, how far now? Make I can't help you hold your bag. And I already saw the potential and I was like, how far now? Oh, yeah, now come now. He came and we started working together, we were growing. Now he's not like the manager. So
Mm.
at some point he can even be in a venue. If he's in the venue safe, I can go out, I can go home and sleep. Because why?
Wow.
I trust him that he can take all the right decisions. Now we've been
Yes.
able to
So putting structure, putting things in place. That's another thing. Mm.
yeah, and with the help of AI, ChatGPT. You just to go to ChatGPT, an event company working in Kaduna. How do I put a structure for my business? AI will give you a lot of ideas on how you started looking. Okay, oh, with time we need a store manager, someone that manages the store of the equipment, how the equipment go in and come out. Okay, we need an accountant, someone that manages finance. Okay, because now you're beginning to have from one staff to two staff, three
Yeah.
staff, four staff. Before you know, you have 20 something people on your team. Before you know,
Yeah.
you have 30 people on your team. How do you manage? How do you tend to do 30 transfers? Make this particular thing somebody's job. You create a structures for accounting, you create a structure for staff management, you create a structure for equipment management. Okay, now from the early part of the company, my equipment normally stays in my house. But at some point, the equipment were now bigger than my house. Okay, now we need to get an office space. We got an office space. How do we secure an office space? Now you have to create a structure of security. You have to hire in a security. During even the early part of the business, there are points where people tend to tell me, there you get an office. And I'll tell you, no, if the office cannot pay its bill, I can't get an office.
Mm,
Of
mm.
patience to when the office can pay, the business can pay for the office. And the day we saw our present office there, my agent just called me, Dari, I saw it for a building. I think it will fit in for your business. We went there. I went there, saw the place. Immediately we just paid
Wow.
because at that point it fits into our business structure. That was the place we needed. So building the structure, and you tend to do also research on YouTube. I think there's information everywhere. Sometimes
Yeah.
we're just easy to find. You go on YouTube, you search other event company structure and stuff. You see how they do theirs, and just like I always tell my staff, if you are not hungry enough, when the food is ready, you might not eat from it.
Mm. Word.
I've seen structures from event companies in the UK, in America, how they're able to build their structures. There's a 20-minute documentary to what I watched, and I was like, wow, these people. It's not like they have different brain from ours, but just that sometimes we go back to the government. They have a level playing field. They have this system. The road is good, like transportation network is good, like it makes things easy for you and all that stuff like that. But the structure all comes with the development of the company. As the company is growing, the structure continues to grow. As this
Yeah.
company is growing, the structure continues to grow. You need to
Government
bring more.
Yeah,
You need to
definitely.
build capacity. You need to build everything. And before you know, see us now today, at least. But that's bad. If you want to do a good and quality event in Kaduna State, Nigeria, definitely Mary Crocs has to be a part of it.
Definitely.